Konnichiwa. With that being said, the co-host of Birds 365, it is our friend Zander Krause. He joins us now. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother? How's everybody in the chat doing? What's going on?
Oh, good, man. Hey, listen, I heard John say that stuff this morning about practice, man. Practice creates habits, man, and it creates an attitude, and it creates, especially on defense. I get that they were trying to they were trying some new stuff, but I want to take one thing further. What you said also, you went like this. Well, Jeremy Fowler tweeted out. Jeremy Fowler wasn't at practice. How would he know? Someone in the Eagle organization told them. I mean, so get this. And Zander, is it a thing to me? I'm going to do you here for the – watch this. I'm going to do a Zander. I don't really give a shit. It's like a nothing thing here. But why is it so important for them? Okay, so, hey, it's a meshing of the new and old. That's kind of what Nick said. And then Howard came out last week and said, hey, it's more 20%. And it was like, I heard John go, well, it was maybe 95%. It has something to do with terminology. Okay, why can't they just answer a question? Is it a new offense or not?
Yeah, they don't want to answer it. And I'm with you on the Fowler thing. It sounded like it came right from the Eagles organization where, they're trying to quiet some of the noise that's going on, which, I'm not going to knock them for. I guess if they got 4 week period now, just 4 weeks left. But Jalen set off the alarms on the way out the door, and now Fowler's running cover for him because that's what the Eagles do. They don't give anything to the local media. They do normally give it to the national guys. But, what are you going to do? It's a nothing burger at this point because I can't analyze what Jalen said anymore other than the fact that it seems there are some problems present. We'll see if they have an impact on the season or not. I think they're going to. I think it's hard to say they wouldn't, but what are you going to do?
What is your biggest concern with Kellen Moore and Jalen as you get ready for training camp?
My biggest concern with Kellen Moore is that he's not going to use the guy he has in the room. I don't want to see you pull Jalen Hurts out of being Jalen Hurts. My biggest concern from the Jalen Hurts side of it is, are you going to be able to grasp and do everything that Kellen Moore is asking you to do? And if you are, how quickly? I don't think that's a knock on him either. I think it takes anybody time to get used to a new system. And if this system is as new as he said it is, are we talking about week 8, week 12? Are we talking about year 2? Or are we coming out of the gate swinging? So that's my concern with both of them. But you know what, Dan? I honestly feel good. The truth about how I feel is I actually feel good. I actually think Kellen Moore is going to be a good offensive coordinator for this team. That doesn't mean the team is going to have as much success as we're all hoping they have, but I think Kellen Moore is going to do a good job at making an offense that works, that looks better, that incorporates the middle of the field, that isn't afraid to run Saquon Barkley the way he should be run. Now we'll see what it looks like, but I feel pretty good. I feel better about the offense than I think most are. I'm concerned about the Sirianni element and the relationship there and what that looks like. But I go back to the list you created a couple weeks ago of things the Eagles need to do to get back to the Super Bowl. One of the biggest ones on that list was Nick Sirianni needs to stay out of the way. If he does that, I think this can be a pretty good offense. I mean, you got Saquon, you got AJ, you got Jalen, you got Devontae Smith, you got Goddard, you got an offensive line. If Kellen Moore is half competent and Jalen Hurts just gets rid of the turnovers, shit, man, we're looking at a good offense. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how long it takes to click. That's probably my biggest worry is how long will this thing take? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? It might be year 2 where we're talking about we're not really clicking on all cylinders until year 2, similar to how it was with Shane Steichen. But we'll see. I mean, I think there are fair concerns there. But
we have a super chat here. If you could put that up here. I think he was talking 3. Does that mean is that Nolan Smith or is that what's his name?
3, he's talking about Nolan Smith. Yeah. So in 2 years, Huff or Nolan.
Oh, I got Huff.
I have Huff being better. I think the organization would benefit more from Nolan Smith being better, but that's not what he's asking. Yeah.
How about this?
I think Hoff is going to be a good player. We just don't know. He was good when he played, but he played in a small sample size,
Yep.
and he played on a great defense
In a limited role.
and nobody had to worry about Huff last year. So this year he's going to be the guy, and people are going to game defense. Offenses are going to be game planning for him more. So we'll see what he can do. But I think Huff is the answer to that one.
Let's do a human nature thing here when it comes to Sirianni and Moore. How about this dynamic in the room? How much of a factor do you think this becomes? Well, one guy's trying to become a head coach. One guy's trying to save his job. All of a sudden, some adversity starts to hit. I can promise you, and I'll throw this at you here. If that thing was going south last year and Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator, would Nick have fired him?
If who was the offense? If
Kellen Moore was in the seat that Brian Johnson was.
Well, I think it would have looked a whole lot different. But you're saying if the results were the same?
Yeah.
I think there would be bigger concern, honestly, because he's a more established coordinator. Like, remember, before last season, before we even knew what the offense was going to look like, one of your biggest knocks, and you weren't the only one, everybody's was, you're driving a Ferrari and you hired a novice driver. Why would you do that? You got to hire. So if Kellen Moore came in though and looked like that with that type of talent, I think maybe you could argue they would have blew the whole thing up.
The whole thing up. Oh,
yeah.
So if they would have had, maybe the reason that Nick kept his job is because it was the miscalculation on the relationship with Jalen. You think they took more of that into consideration, the relationship with Brian Johnson and Jalen, and put that more in the forefront than actually his credibility at being a play caller?
Maybe. I hope not.
Because that has to be the only reason he got the job.
The other side of it is how it went up in flames. Has it come back to bite them? Like is part of Jalen's reluctance to endorse his coaching staff right now because he feels like they scapegoated Brian Johnson, who really is a friend to him, who's not just a coach, who wasn't just an offensive coordinator. He's somebody who's been a part of his life for, it sounds like, since he was a child. Yep. Is there some resentment there? I mean, I think it's possible. I think it's plausible. I mean, you would think they would have these conversations with the guy they're paying $55 million a year to, but the way the Eagles operate, you could argue that they didn't, right? I mean, they care about power. They might not care what Jalen says, but geez, if they did that, I mean, why pay that type of money to an offense just to slot in somebody's friend?
This is going to be,
I don't know. Cause I don't want to I mean, I wasn't on the air back at that point, but I wasn't that upset with the hiring of Brian Johnson. I thought it made sense. He was a quarterback's coach. The offense took a seismic leap. Jalen Hurts took a leap that nobody expected coming, had an MVP year, and he was the guy left in the building after Steichen left. I was like, all right, yeah, that's a good move. I mean, he's the guy who can keep this thing going on the same train track. It didn't work out. Now everybody's wondering, was it Brian Johnson's fault? Was it Sirianni? I think Nick is maybe a little upset how they handled Brian Johnson, which is why you probably shouldn't have made a decision like that in the first place if that was a factor.
The camp number one priority will be what you think with the coaching staffs. What's the one thing you think is the number one priority going into training camp? We're 30 days out, dude. And by the way, just to expand on it too, Bradbury's not being cut. He is not being cut. The only time and the quickest time I would think that he would be released would be maybe after a controlled scrimmage or after an exhibition game that they played maybe after 2. But, bro, the way I'm looking at it, the more and more he is on this team going into camp, why are they hedging their bets here? You and I said this last week. The roster spot and playing younger guys, to me, is more valuable than playing a guy I already know. And like you said, because I drop a guy at the safety position or in the slot 3 practices and I sit him there with a helmet and a water bottle, you think that's going to entice a general manager to want to make it? That's not going to do that. Just give me your priorities and also the Bradbury factor going into camp.
My priorities are all offensive for camp.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
all
offensive.
Defensively.
Well, I'm not as concerned defensively because I think with the way the roster is built, we know the defense isn't going to be a top 5 defense. We need them to be top 15, like we talked about, or top 18. And I don't think we're going to get anything from camp. Honestly, I think we took too much of what we heard from the spring, and it's I'm guilty of it too. I've been talking about Isaiah Rodgers and Ringo. Let's see these guys play. So I think that's a wait and see thing, right? Like, we're not going to know what this defense looks like until they're out there. With the offense, I think we can gather how on the same page are they? How much is Jalen comprehending from the new offense? How does everybody look? Do they look like they're having communication issues? I think communication is going to be one of the biggest things in this season, like it is in any realm of life. I mean, you know what I mean? You need to have communication with somebody to be on the same page. And that's going to be my biggest thing going into the camp. How cohesive is the offensive side of the ball? And that includes Sirianni, right? Has he completely removed himself from this whole offensive side?
Can you be a good team, though, Zander? Can you be a good team, though, going into a season with still those going into training camp, those questions? I mean, all the good teams around the league don't have those question marks.
Well, every team's got their list of questions. I mean, the Eagles
but communication in Detroit or in Kansas City or in San Francisco is not one of them.
Yeah, well, they're in a situation where we were going into last season or 2 years ago, where we had the same coordinators coming into the year. There wasn't that many questions like this going into the 22 season.
Oh, so this is going to be a continual thing because the Eagles change coordinators so much.
If they continue to change coordinators, absolutely. I mean, on one hand, you say Jalen can't keep complaining, because if you're good and you have a CEO head coach, your coordinators are going to continue to get hired away.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're bad, they're going to get fired.
Right. And if you're bad, they're going to get fired. And if you're in the middle, nobody wants to be in the middle. What do you want to be? The Dallas Cowboys, where you lose in the first round every year? So on one hand, I don't want to complain about it. I don't want him to complain about it. But on the other hand, I get it. How do you go into a year where you have Super Bowl expectations and it's going to take you 10 weeks to get it figured out? I mean, the Chiefs did it last year, so it's not like you can't do it. The Chiefs didn't look good earlier in the year last year.
True.
They lost to us.
Got beat by the Raiders in Kansas City.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we beat the Chiefs last year. So to that point, you can do it, but we'll see.
That's funny you say that. How could you look so good in the middle of the year last year? I still can't answer this one. How do you go from 10-2 to a team that looked like they were a 4-win team 3 years ago? What? And you have more talent. Zander, that one question for me, you're 10-2. You beat all those string of great players and coaches, coordinators. You beat Belichick up in New England on the opener. That was awesome. You beat the guy, Leslie Frazier in Minnesota. I'm thinking to myself, how do you go through all that? And then you can't beat Drew Lock. I mean, to me, that's a mental thing and a locker room thing. And that's why when I hear the noise,
bigger than football and talent. Yeah,
that's right. But to me, I don't think you can just change that out with coaches and players. I think that's got to be changed out from the head guy himself. Well, like, he's got to make that happen. It's his room.
You mean Nick Sirianni? Or you mean Jalen?
Yeah, it's his room, isn't it?
Well, yeah. On offense, you know what, Dan? On offense, I want it to be Jalen Hurts' room. I don't want it to be a coordinator's room. When you even with a guy like Andy Reid in Kansas City, who's that offense? That offense is Patrick Mahomes. Who called the shots on offense for New England when Tom Brady? Tom Brady. I want it to be Jalen's offense. I want it to be his room. So if you're the commander of the room, it's on you. And I'm good with that. I'd rather live and die on that hill, with your quarterback, the guy you paid a big bag to, own it, especially if you're going to have a revolving door at the coordinator, or else you're going to get into the same problems over and over and over again. So
304 is like, hey, man, Zander, just so you know, the Eagles have finished behind Dallas 3 of the 4 years there.
The guy, how many regular season trophies can the Dallas Cowboys collect? I mean,
60.
Seriously. I mean, come on, 304.
Hey,
304 is my
come
boy.
on, man. He's got you there, dog. I mean, you guys win every offseason. There's
304
no
is my boy.
question. You guys are the king of the off seasons.
Yeah, 304 is
All
one
right.
of the guys I
But
actually know behind
I
the
will. Then I'm going to go here. Play with me here. It's 30 days to the Dallas Cowboys go to training camp today. By the way, I've confirmed it. We're going to be doing some shows over at the Cowboy training camp. So we're going to be there. And the Rams. I think we're going to do Rams and Cowboys. We're going to be over there talking. So I'm sure we'll probably try to do that on a Wednesday too. So for the guys, when we do the show,
Yeah.
Hey, how about Mark Holmes giving us some love with Michael Irvin?
Yeah,
you
it's
see
pretty
that?
cool. Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty cool. Good stuff from home, Mark.
So 30 days out, do you think Dak Prescott gets a contract from Dallas before the start of training camp?
I think he should. I mean, I'm not even saying that as an Eagle fan. I'm
if
saying that
if that were me, I wouldn't want one.
If you're Dak, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. That's a big risk you're talking about. I know.
If Kirk Cousins could get $48 million, I'll get 58.
Coming off an injury, yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to speak objectively, not as an Eagle fan, right? I'm going to speak objectively. If you're Dallas, how do you not bring back Dak Prescott? Yeah, what are you going to do? What is your option to move off of Prescott if you're not willing to give him the money? What is it?
Tanking.
You're tanking. You're choosing oblivion. You're choosing the Sixers process, which has resulted in absolutely nothing but dread.
You're tanking.
So that's where I'm like, look, just back to my Eagle fan. I'm not the biggest Dak Prescott guy, but he's a competent quarterback. I mean, he can throw the ball. He can do what you need to do. If I was a Dallas fan, would I be upset with some of the playoff, inconsistencies and lack of showing up and stuff? Sure, I would, but life on the other side isn't good. You have a quarterback that is competent and can win ball games. And I think he's a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, maybe higher. When Dak plays well, many Eagle fans won't say this. When Dak plays well, he's a damn good quarterback. He can throw that ball all over the yard. Now, when he doesn't show up, it's ugly, it's turnovers, and it's costing games. But, it's a team game. It doesn't all come down to Dak Prescott. If they don't sign him, what are they going to do? And that's what I'll continue to say. And Dallas should get a deal done. Now, the way they do business is just pitiful. I mean, why? Why do you not pay the guy until the last minute? And now you're going to have to give him more money than you. If you signed him a year ago, it was 52. You're going to be up to 60 million. And the cap hits are going to be brutal.
Yep.
Let's go to our super chats here.
Let's go to Bob Brown here. Yeah. Sills, boardroom battles are won by settling the narrative before you enter the room. Howie and Jeff are boardroom guys. The Fowler leak helps Howie and Jeff set the narrative if things go wrong. That's totally my point. Why? But here, I'm going to pull a Zander Krause on this. Why? What the fuck is the big deal about it? It's such a petty thing. I mean, that stuff is when Zander was bringing that up, shit was petty. I'm like this. Why would they give a shit that it was like covering for Nick again? That they don't want. Boy, I'll tell you what. I've never seen a play-by-play or a sideline reporter, a national NFL scout, or not scout, but a national NFL reporter. I've never seen anybody else come out and say, no, it's not a new offense. Everyone has disputed it, what Jalen said, and they want everyone to know that Jalen's comments were not truthful. Why? Why wouldn't you just let that die, Zander, and let that die in the ether?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no answers to the questions you're asking. They're all valid points, but at this point, Dan, I'm ready for the news cycle to pick back up with this team. I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out about it all, to be honest. I mean,
they better win.
Who, the Eagles?
Right, early. Because that stuff will come out quicker.
That's my worry because, even if these problems didn't exist, I don't think this team would be winning early. Now, don't over-exaggerate. I'm a guy that picked them to win 13 games this year. I think if they play like they should play, they're a 13-win team this year. If they don't play like they should play, there's not a chance in hell they win 13 games. But I think the beginning of the season is going to be a little bit tough. I mean, I don't know. They have the Packers, they got the Falcons, they got the Saints, and they got the Bucks in the first 4.
Look at the quarterbacks they're playing. Okay, more so than
what's
anything.
even more. Wait. You said quarterbacks. Look at the defensive coaches they're playing.
Got Schwartz in there.
Green Bay's a non-factor defensively. I'm talking about Atlanta. You have Raheem, right? Isn't he the coach?
Yep,
he's a good defender.
Yep, Raheem.
Third, you got Saints. You got Dennis Allen, and fourth, you got
Foles,
who has, by the way, a good pass with locking down the Jalen Hurts offense. He got 2 playoff wins on him, over him, and in a big way in both of them. So
that's a great point. He's 2-1 against Jalen Hurts in the last 3 games.
Yeah. And the game that Hurts won was, early in the year last year before the Bucs really found their stride, and they were a crappy team, and the 2 wins were playoff games
at home, but still, that's a really, really great point. All right. The one player that you're looking to see a breakout year this year, the one player, not Hurts, one guy.
This is a good one. I want to say Jalen Carter, but I think it's expected with him. Honestly, I think he's that good. I don't want to say I want him to be my breakout candidate because I think that's inevitable. I think it's inevitable. If you're talking about a guy that needs to step up, the guy that needs to rise from the ashes in a way, if you will, I'd like one of the young corners. And I don't care if it's not one of the first round, one of the guys we took this year. If Keely Ringo steps up in a huge way, I think you secure that position for the long term, not a 1-year gap. I'm talking about a long-term fix. That's my problem with saying like Devin White, because I'd like to see Devin White have a break, or even Nakobe Dean. Like, how long are they going to be here if they break out? Devin White, if he has a breakout year, he's gone after the year because the Eagles aren't going to meet the contract demands and the market. There's
going to be too many offers.
Right, exactly. And they wouldn't even pay TJ Edwards $7 million. I mean, they're not going to pay Devin White whatever he wants to make. Nakobe Dean would be a good one, a good breakout candidate, though. I could see them paying him because Howie would be able to toot his horn at that,
For me,
Nolan's a good one. JM says Nolan. I don't know. JM, here's the problem. I think Nolan's going to have a better year, but is he going to get the reps needed to have a breakout year? You have Huff and you have Sweat still. You have BJ. Is he going to get the playing time needed to have that breakout year? We'll see.
Fucking play him.
Yeah.
I drafted him 31. Play him. I don't want to. I'm not saving this. Play him. If he sucks, he sucks. Let it lie. I have more respect for coaches and organizations that find out their failures quicker than sitting and saving a Rager. Play his ass.
I'm with you. I'm
okay. Here's
I'm
my guy. I think this guy could be the steal. And to me, I want to see this Isaiah Rodgers guy. I want to see him because you know what they were saying? This guy, Brian Baker, who was a defensive coordinator who I played with at Maryland, was the D coordinator in Indy. He goes like this. If you're looking for this guy to knock chin straps off, he ain't your guy. But if you're looking for a guy who can get completely beat on a play, and make up because he's smart, knows angles, he's your guy. He goes, Dan, that kid, if he gets enough reps, is going to be, and I go, who you compare him to? You know who he said? Diggs in Dallas. You're not high on him, huh?
No, I'm very high on him, but I'm concerned because I don't see the
Diggs doesn't knock people out.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that at all. First off, I am not a fan of that. Like, there's nothing I hate more than when Slay just looks like a cis pot when he has to tackle somebody in the open field. I hate that for my cornerbacks. And Keely Ringo is a much more physical corner, so I think fans are going to like him for that reason alone. But let's just say Isaiah Rodgers does have a breakout year this year. What's his role on this team in the future, long term?
Oh, he's my starting corner.
Yeah, but you have Ringo, who's a 4th-round pick. Eagles love their draft picks. Remember, we can't live in fantasy land. They love their draft picks. You got DeJean, you got Quinyon Mitchell. That's 3 right there. That's 3 young corners right there. Are you going to pay all 4 of these guys? Remember, Isaiah Rodgers is on a contract year.
Yeah, no doubt. If that guy has a year that I think he's going to have,
okay, so who starts next year?
Howie will not bring him back. You know why?
Who starts then next year?
It'll cost him $16 million.
That's what I'm saying. So if he has a breakout year, I just don't know where the Eagles are going to go with him in the future. That's why we brought up on Birds 365. People ripped us for it, but if they have another great camp or training camp and everybody's talking about him like they were in the spring, they could maybe move him. Remember, they signed him on the scrap heap for $1 million and sat him for a year because of the suspension. Can you make a quick flip on that and go and get a 3rd or 4th round pick for him?
You think they'd package? You think they'd package Isaiah and Bradbury up to send
maybe
somewhere?
I'm not saying I want them to do it. I'm just saying if he plays that good,
I'd hate that guy to go somewhere and be a stud.
Yeah, but where's Quinyon going to play? If Keely Ringo is looking as good as he's looking, and Isaiah Rodgers is your replacement for Darius Slay next year, you think they're going to put a 1st-round draft pick in as a backup just to pay Isaiah Rodgers? I don't see it. That's my problem. They're going to value all 3 of the other guys more than they value Isaiah, just naturally, just from the business.
Your value. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a frustrating conversation because here we go again. You're valuing where they were picked instead of who's good.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
That sucks.
I think it's the Eagles' way, though, Dan. Right? I mean, doesn't it make sense to you what I'm saying? Like, where does he fit in? You have 3 young corners that you're trying to get on the field.
You know what I tell you all the time? Hey, Zander, if you pay him, okay, you're playing him. And I'm sitting there telling you, I'm playing the best fucking guy I can. And that ain't the case in the pros.
Ain't the case. It's not.
It don't work that way
in the NFL. Now, what I would love, here's what I would love. This would be my ideal scenario. Rodgers is your long-term slot guy. 3 years, you know. Then
what are you doing with Gardner Johnson? You jettisoning him?
Well, he's a safety. You're going to get 2 years out of him. They'll probably move on. They'll probably draft a guy, or I don't see him as a super long-term kind of guy. Look, that's a position that they'll move in and out as they have done. By
the way, I can't believe they gave him $8 million. But go ahead.
I couldn't either because no other team was. There wasn't even another team that was willing to give him a multi-year deal.
They were paying him $800,000 a year previous.
Yeah. So, but if if you even in my dream scenario, then where does DeJean go? Because you have Ringo and Mitchell on the outside, you have Rodgers in the slot. John has continuously told me, Cooper DeJean is very versatile, but the Eagles scouted him as an outside cornerback. And their dream would be for him to be an outside cornerback in the league.
I think
he has the skill set. I think you're underestimating his skill set. I just don't know if they have the roster set up for it.
I do not. I don't see it. I watched him at Iowa, and I'll say it one more time to you. Iowa, okay. But here's the thing that brings me back to center with your take. Sills, there's always injuries at the corner every year.
That's true. That's why the depth is a nice thing, right?
That's why Bradbury's still on the team. Also one of the reasons. But to your point, Zander, okay, Sills, you're saying that you don't think he can play on the numbers in the NFL as a consistent corner. But what kind of athlete, as you were saying, dude, he's one of those like Paul Bunyan type guys where every sport he did, he was some sort of like legendary basketball player. He averaged 28 points. It wasn't like he got drafted in baseball, I think, too. He's like one of these psychotic guys. So he is an athlete. And maybe I'm looking at him through my white colored glasses too. I don't know. Maybe could that be part of the whole thing too, that I'm not seeing that there. But see, to me, I do see a really good athlete. But is that guy going to play? So who do you have more question marks for then? DeJean or Quentin Williams?
Real quick, I want to tell, before I answer that, I will answer that. I want to tell Steve Kaufman, he says, tired of paying money, not getting this topic discussed. Steve, I'm going to go back to both your super chats. I see them both. We will get them up in a second after this topic. Sorry about that, brother. We'll get you. No worries. No worries. Thanks for the reminder. We'll go.
Hey, I like you, brother. Way to go. Hey, yeah. Fuck you guys. You see what I just did? Hey, always remember talk to us like that, you get your way like that. Go ahead, Zander.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Steve. I'll get to you, brother. I have more questions on DeJean because I don't know where they're going to use him. Like what?
Why did
I
he
don't.
go in a second?
What's that?
What and everyone had a first round grade at him. Why did he slide in the second?
Yeah, I don't have that much concern about that. What am I going to do? Sit here and indict the guy's career because he slipped 10 picks in the draft? I don't care. I don't care about that. I think if the guy can play, the guy can play. But my questions are not as much about the player as they are about where he's going to fit on this football team. I mean, in a way, it's a great problem to have because you got a bunch of corners that you're like, hey, we got a lot of guys that can play. What should we do with them all? And that's why I think a trade wouldn't be ruled out, but they're certainly not trading DeJean. They're certainly not trading Quignon, and they're most likely not trading Keely Ringo. So,
or Slay.
I like the idea of 4. I mean, I guess it could work with all 4 of them because you have some time until you pay Quignon or pay Cooper. So maybe if you go 2 years with Isaiah Rodgers, keep him as a depth rotational piece, slot guy, outside guy. You get Keely and you get Quignon on the field.
Your option too.
Yeah, but they don't love to use that, man. They didn't use it on Devontae. They didn't, they don't love if they don't have to use that, they're probably going to pay their guy. Eagles aren't that type of organization. They're not like the Cowboys where they use out all that stuff. So we'll see what they end up doing on that in terms of those two. In hindsight, should they have even drafted another cornerback? Right? I mean, remember that linebacker was sitting there that everybody wanted. The guy from Texas A&M.
The kid went to Green Bay.
Yeah. The Texas A&M guy. I can't think I'm blanking on his name. But
Edgerrin Cooper.
Steven real quick. Let's go to first.
Edgerrin Cooper. Even the kid from NC State. Even the kid from NC State was up there too.
Yeah, I'm happy with Cooper DeJean. I'm just saying, if you're going to force to trade away one of these guys, you maybe could have gotten a guy in the draft.
They clearly drafted this year's draft to replace both their corners.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Steve said, if I was Dak, I'm heading to the Saints or Vikings. I think the Vikings would be a great spot for him. How many yards would Justin Jefferson get with Dak Prescott?
Insane
numbers. So
insane numbers. And New Orleans, the only problem that could be a problem, Steven, is because they're in salary cap hell, and that contract they picked up with Derek Carr it's just loaded with all kinds of bullshit. They got a lot of cap issues, but the Bensons, and I do like Mickey Loomis, their general manager. They know how to kind of construct contracts. I think he'd be great down there. Plus, he played at Mississippi State. He'd be heading south where he played in the Southeastern Conference. So that's kind of in his neck of the woods. I mean, New Orleans makes sense. New Orleans needs a quarterback.
Yeah,
Does he have another one?
Yeah, I guess the Vikings doesn't make sense because they just drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, they just drafted J.J. McCarthy.
I don't think that guy's going to be the guy. So, if you
McCarthy is a worse Tim Tebow.
Yeah, really. That's a great comp. That's exactly what the guy looks like to me.
He looks exactly like Tim Tebow here. We made a mistake. Nolan is damaged goods. Dude, you drafted Nakobe Dean you drafted Nakobe Dean also too, Steven, when he was on an injury. And I'll tell you this, the two dudes that they brought out of there from Georgia had injury issues too when they came out of there too. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many question marks on defense compared to the offense. And yet, why do I feel the Eagles were so centric on addressing offensive issues this past offseason? The only reason that I think of that can come to my mind is only this, Zander, is that there were more things behind the scenes on what exploded and imploded offensively for that team that they're not saying. Because don't you feel like this with Vic Fangio? Hey, Vic, here's your fucking defense. Go fix the team. Here's a couple guys. We got you. You get to pick your guys. You go over to your side of the room and you take care of it. Hasn't the emphasis and the isolation and all the eyeballs been on the offense? You were 8th last year. You scored 26 points a game.
Yeah, but why are you getting that they addressed the offense more than the defense in the offseason?
Okay, well, they restructured Mulata's deal. They gave 2 brand new super deal contracts to your wideouts.
Well, that's different than addressing.
They got a $10 million running back. I mean, what do
The
you when
only
you
things they did on the offense this year, in my opinion, this offseason were
or money?
Saquon Barkley. But those extensions were going to get done. I mean,
What did
Eagles
they
got
address money-wise on defense with a team that was
you chirped the
41st?
hell out of Devontae Smith, which I understand, but the Eagles made out like a
But
bandit.
what did they address on defense that was horrific? Well, I didn't know the
The
offense needed.
cornerbacks. We got
We
more
don't know.
cornerbacks than we know what to do with.
We'll see if
We
they're
had a
good.
31 ranked pass defense last year.
How many of those guys do you have back there do you think are going to be a good ball player?
We'll see, but at least they addressed it.
Okay.
Right? Like linebackers,
But they addressed it with more unknown.
well, yeah, because when you draft a guy, it's unknown, but you still spent premium assets on it. That's like that's like the deal for that Howie made for what's his name? Robert Quinn. Like, you're not going to knock it. He tried. No, Quinyon Mitchell was the undisputed number one cornerback by most people's metrics in this draft. They took a cornerback with their first round pick. Howie addressed what he thought, he was going to address. I'm not going to knock him for that. If Quinyon stinks out loud, well, that stinks, but Howie wouldn't be the only one that evaluated him wrong. That's for sure.
Any word on Milton as running back? He was injured too at Georgia.
You know why I like him?
Boy, I'll tell you something, Sean. That running game that they had down there at Georgia, and one thing that I'll never get, and I'll say this, I'm a huge college football fan. Georgia not being in that Final Four was the biggest hijacking of any team I've ever seen. How do you win 2 straight national titles? You lose to Alabama in overtime by 3 points, and you don't get a fucking crack at going out.
Who would you have put in?
Oh, I would have put Georgia in.
Okay, over who?
Washington.
Yeah, the team that Michigan shellacked. I was going to say, you're going to remove Bama? I thought that was it. I mean, I thought Bama deserved to get in after beating Georgia in that moment. Now I'm a Bama guy, so you guys can tell me I got Bama.
No, they didn't want to put 2 SEC teams in. Prince says, we 5 cornerbacks can't all be busted. No, that's my point. So what are you thinking? 1? You ain't getting all 5. All 5 of those guys ain't going to be good. Okay. You're hoping 1 is. It's a 60 here.
Who is the best chance to be good?
How about this? 65% of the cornerbacks in the last 15 years that have been drafted have been bust. Okay? At that position, it's the biggest premium missed position of every single position drafted in the draft. And you got 5 new ones back there. If you guys are under some sort of alcohol fucking use right now, thinking that all 5 of those guys are going to be Pro Bowlers,
why do I, as an Eagle fan, actually feel like right now all 5 of these guys could be good? I know I got Eagle glasses on, but
what is wrong with
you?
Somehow,
some way.
What is wrong with you? How could you feel that way?
Keely Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Isaiah Rodgers. Who am I missing? Who's the 5th one?
See, when I hear you talking like that, Sidney Brown, when I hear you when I hear you talking like that, I hear names. You're going, oh, legit. I can't. I'm going like, God, they have never, and most of the guys you mentioned haven't played it down. Eli Ricks.
Prince, is that the 5th one? Is that who I'm missing? Is that who you're talking about? Because I think Eli's all right. I mean, the thing about Eli is he had some reps, but apparently he had a bad spring, and with this many guys on the roster, I just don't see it for him. But we'll see. Twiz says I've been drinking. Come on, Twiz. You don't think Quinyon can be good? Cooper can be good. Isaiah Rodgers can be good. Keely Ringo can be good.
Ohio State put a 70 burger on that Toledo team. And what's his name? Marvin Harrison Jr. put up a 2-score 70-yarder on him. Come on, me.
Hey, listen, man, you better read Stephen Kaufman before he holds us hostage. He's going to come in here and
guy just says, hey, fuck you, Sills. Read it. Just got home. Pooped one.
And popped open a cold one.
Okay. Yeah, there you go, Steven. You feel better now, Steven? Jesus Christ. All right. Boy, I tell you, man, you and John in the morning. Oh, man, we got a whole plethora of like all these superstar, young, talented corners. And I'm like, what? What guy? They just got they don't even really have their football pants yet. They've only done jammies and helmets. And Zander's got this guy lined up like he's Brian Dawkins.
Hey, listen, man. I'm excited about the future of the cornerbacks in Philadelphia. I really am. I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't. I get it. They have to do it first. I understand, but I'm good to wear my eagle glasses on this because
Okay,
I feel good. I mean, I feel good as a fan. I'm excited for the first time in a bit about the back end of this defense being not only good but a strength, a strong point, and that's going to help our young guys in the front. That's going to help Nolan Smith maybe find that gear. I don't know if it's in there or if it's not. It's going to help Jalen Carter. It's going to help Jordan Davis, and I'm excited for it.
Last question for you. Nolan Smith is a Yugo. All right, hang on. Hey, okay. Here it is. Last one here. Last 1 to 10. What do you think Jalen Hurts' rebound will be in 2024?
What are you asking for? Stats?
See, I asked the question, and it's a vague one. I want you to fill it in. Between 1 and 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, Jalen Hurts' 2024 season will be what to Zander Krause?
Winner, protector of the football, doesn't make careless decisions with the ball, doesn't take a safety in the playoff game, great decision making at the line of scrimmage, incorporates the talent around him, has a free flowing offense that isn't easily predictable, isn't dump offs, isn't dumb stuff, isn't constantly panned to the right. I want him to look like he did in 22. I want him to be an MVP candidate again. And that's what I think we all want to see. And that's what we need to see. Because if he's not, we got another conversation on our hands, and it's not a pretty one.
Is he an MVP candidate?
This year, are you asking me to project?
Yeah. This is what we do, kid.
I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yeah.
Look at you. There you go.
Win. Barber says, win what, Xander? Expand on that. Win playoff games, Barb. Win when it matters, Barb.
What does winning look like to you?
Winning means winning in the playoffs, right? But you got to get there. You got to have yourself positioned for success when you get to the playoffs. You can't just stink out loud, sneak in the back, and, hope you're going to make a big run. The team has to be good. He has to have a good offense. And I think everybody, it's a weird thing is I think everybody has to feel like they're a part of the offense. You can't, Dallas Goedert, you got to get him involved. You got to keep Saquon involved. That's going to be one of Jalen's biggest tasks this year. You got a lot of playmakers, man. You got to keep a lot of guys happy. You got to keep a lot of egos at bay. And, we'll see. We'll see.
Xander, can they use the kid from Florida State like a flex T? Did they sign that kid? Did they sign that quarterback that got hurt that took them to that undefeated season?
No. Somebody else signed him.
Yeah, somebody else signed him. I thought
the Jets talking about, Sean?
Yeah, I thought the Jets signed him, didn't they? I think he's on the Jets roster.
Sean, if you could clarify in the chat, I'll look for your next comment. Just clarify who you mean.
I thought the Jets signed that guy that took that team to the undefeated season, and he ended up getting beat, or he ended up getting hurt in the ACC title game. I thought the Jets have him right now.
Let me see if I can find Sean clarifying. I don't see it yet.
I think he's talking about Johnny Wilson.
What's he saying? Flex T. He's not talking about tackle. What's he talking about? Tight end?
I think he's talking about flexing him out.
Well, Johnny Wilson,
putting him in a slot. I think that's what Sean's meaning. I'm hoping.
I'm thinking he meant flex TE, and he is
flex
talking
tight end.
Johnny Wilson. He's that huge receiver we got. Flexion's. I think he might be ripping me, or he's ripping people in the chat. I'm not sure. Flex, let me know, brother. The complacency kills me. I'm not complacent. People have already been on my case because I want greatness out of our quarterback and out of our team. But Flex, you got to be real too. You are not going to win a Super Bowl every year, no matter how much you like it. Tom Brady lost more at the end than he did, than he won at the end. So, we got to be a great team. We got to be in the mix. We have to make a real run. And if we lose in the playoffs, great. But don't go out like a limp dog that didn't give a shit, that sulked on the sideline, that didn't care at all, that Troy Aikman blasted on the telecast because we didn't look like we gave a shit. That's what I don't want. That's my bottom. That's bottom of the barrel. If we go to the NFC title game and we lose a nail biter to the Lions or to the Niners, I can live with that. I'm not happy. I wanted to do more, but I can live with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can live if you show me you wanted it.
Well,
if
Jeffrey
you showed
Lurie,
me you were right there.
Would
What's
Jeffrey
that?
Lurie live with that?
That's the big question. That's the big question. But I think he would. You know, I think the thing that hurt him most was probably the way it all ended last year. You know, that was ugly. That was ugly as hell. Yeah, Sean was talking about the big receiver. Sean, you didn't have to super chat that again, brother. You could have. We appreciate it anyway. We do everything you guys super chat goes right into helping the channel make more content. So we appreciate anytime you guys drop a super chats. Goes a long way in us. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys help the
Bob
show.
Billy's good, by the way. Bob gives a great comment. So, Bob, we appreciate you. He says, Zander, you cannot be in the mix every year when your staff is always in the merry-go-round. But,
True.
Bob, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're in the mix every year, your coordinators are going to go.
Unless
so
he's
would
the
you
head
rather
coach.
keep the same coordinators and lose some years?
But unless he's the head coach.
Yeah, but even that, I mean.
Dude, Sean McVay's not going anywhere.
You're right. Andy Reid's not going anywhere.
Matt LaFleur's not going anywhere. Kyle Shanahan's not going anywhere.
Steve says Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl, but no one fears him. That's not great. I mean,
I'll tell you what, dude.
I see what he's saying, though.
I do 20. Whoa, wait a minute. I don't fear that guy that they want to try to win from the pocket at all. He doesn't frighten me.
Either.
That guy in 22 does. You know why? As a defender, I'm going to give you guys one comment that people used to say when they had Joe Montana and Steve Young on the Niners. Zander, this dynamic went down. 1 year, Montana got hurt. Okay. The next year, Young took over, won the MVP award, right? Montana came back. You know what everybody was saying? I'll tell you what, man. I don't want Montana getting hurt because that guy Young, he runs 4.4s. He gets in the open perimeter. Defending that is so insane. And that's why I'm so hard on Hurts now, because the organization, I'm still saying this. You think they're going to have this grand turnaround and how they're going to coach him. I do not. I think they're going to coach him like Dak. You don't think that. I think they're coaching him like Dak Prescott.
This is where, if you're right, I don't know if you're right, by the way. You might be wrong.
No.
But if you are right, then that's where I would completely just don't understand the philosophy, the business decisions, why sign Jalen Hurts if that's what you want? It's not even a knock on Jalen Hurts. If that's what the organization really wants, is to turn him into something he is not, why did you pay the guy?
Here's a stat to watch in that Green Bay game September 6th. If that guy's got over 34 attempts, I'm going to be right.
You mean in the opening game?
Yeah. I'm going to be right.
That's true, Bob.
Because you signed a running back for $10 million for a reason. If Barkley has 12 carries and Hurts has 37 passing attempts, we're going to know what they're trying to do.
That's a good point.
Because I look at Green Bay and go, Green Bay's decent on defense. I wouldn't write them in as a top 15 defense. Maybe top 15.
Dude, did you see the coordinator they hired?
I know. I'm not.
They got some players, but wait, I do want to make sure we answer Sean Mims, who told us the flex tight end is what he was talking about. I think they could use Johnny Wilson, by the way, there. I mean, I don't think that's what they want to do, but I'm wondering if they're going to do it anyway, because it's been such a shitty position for us. After Dallas got it, we've really had nothing there. They tried the Calcaterra thing. They tried Jack Stoll, who's now, I think, in New York. I don't know. I mean, I think CJ Uzomah is an upgrade, so we will see how it turns out with him. But I just wanted to make sure we answered Sean, because he dropped $10 on that one. So, Sean, we appreciate you, brother. Steve, back for another. Steve, now we're hitting you, brother. We got you. The best Foles was better than all pro Hurts. Just saying. Well, the problem with Foles is he was
consistency, though.
Yeah, there was
Foles
zero
was never
consistency.
Consistent except for that 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, but he's right. When Foles was great, boy, was he great. Remember the 7 touchdown game?
Oh,
I mean, he was great when he played, but, you know, you're not going to build a team around an inconsistent
There's only
quarterback.
one other guy that I ever saw streakier than him. You know who it was? Eli Manning. You get Eli in a post game, that fucker goes on these insane streaks where he's unbeatable, man.
I am not an Eli hater. I am not an Eli hater.
I know. You know what? My wife loves the guy too. She thinks
I don't love him. I'm not a Giant guy, but I'm saying I think people are
You think you're too hard on him?
A little careless with their commentary on him, talking about career win percentage.
You think he's a Hall of Famer?
I do. Dan, he beat Tom Brady
twice.
The pinnacle of the sport, the GOAT, the greatest coach of all time. In his prime twice. And he beat the greatest team maybe to ever play in the entire NFL if they won that Super Bowl. And he beat them that year. I mean, you got to give a guy credit for that. I mean, you're going to say that those don't matter as much as his career win percentage when you're playing in the shitty New York Giants? I mean, yeah, his career win percentage isn't great, but it's a team game.
It's 500.
It really is. It's a team game, though, Dan. It's a team game.
So this goes to the argument that you make with me like this. Coaches are a little different, so it's not quite fair, but win percentages for coaches can be a little bit misleading too, because just because you have a great win percentage like Sirianni, that doesn't make him a better coach than Reid.
Well, I would argue that it's more important for a coach than it is for a player.
It is.
You know? But in the same breath, you're right. If you give Nick Sirianni the Giants roster, yeah, he's not going to have as good of a win percentage as he does here in Philly. So that's a good point. Flexen drops in a super chat. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Bob. Preach. Yeah, Bob always preaches. Bob is one of our best commenters. I really love Bob Brown's comments. The guy is a very good football mind. You can tell. Smart dude. So I love when he comments.
Fantastic stuff. Zander, where are we in the likes? Folks, we're trying to get to 200 likes.
110, man. We're weak. We're low, man.
Go, guys. We got to pick this up. We're 90 away from 200 likes. Zander, tomorrow morning, don't forget Farzetta. Hey, you know what's really made our network so spectacular? I've tuned on because of my my issues with my own show that we've had the last couple days because of the connection. I've gone and checked out some of the other shows. They're unlistenable. And I'll tell you what, every single show that's on right now on JAKIB Sports is different. They allow the people to talk. There's a place. This has got to be one of the only avenues for everyone to come and go like this to the host. Hey, that's not right. You're full of shit. Hey, Sileo, you're crazy. Zander, you're nuts. Hey, John, stop waving a ball. I mean, nobody at WIP ever would put on people or have them in their show's content that would ever do anything like that. And that's why this thing is growing the way it is.
Wait, before I
say that because I'm proud of what we're doing.
Oh, I am too, Dan, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everybody on the network. I think we've done a lot, and I'm proud of it. I do want to clarify though for Friday. So Friday, I had a busy ass Friday coming out of that wedding. I'm like all over the place. I wasn't even producing the show Friday.
He was hammered.
Yeah, no, I wasn't hammered. I wasn't even hungover. Now the morning show was a little tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a little tough. But Friday, I go on YouTube after Friday, after I got done busy, and I'm checking in on our comments and stuff. Everybody's like, Dan Sileo gets censored. JAKIB is censoring Dan Sileo. YouTube is censoring them. Eagles are censoring them. I'm like, whoa. It's all good, everybody.
Now I know.
Back on Monday. I promise. I'm not canceling Big Sills for his opinions.
Hey,
I don't care.
Now I know why I kept getting these on my Twitter page. Hey, Sills, the entire world is against us. I go, what happened? Well, is everyone trying to censor you? They're censoring you off your own show. I'm like, what are you talking about? My fucking cable went down.
Bro, you're in comedy. Where's JM? JM is in here, and he's always giving me things you can do for your internet. Eventually we got to do one of them.
Oh, Skylink. Somebody gave me some info when it came to Skylink, and I'm going to start doing that. Last one, guys. Foles would be a better Eagles quarterback of all time if the records had never been traded to the Rams. Yes or no? You're talking the first time when he was 2016.
Yeah, that's what he's talking. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. Here, let me say something to you, Sean, about Nick Foles. Okay. So, who coached Nick Foles? Who coached Nick Foles, Zander?
Was it Chip early? Yeah, it was Chip, right?
Chip. Okay. So, he was in Jacksonville. He was also with Jeff Fisher, and he was with Matt Nagy up in Chicago. Chicago has never developed a quarterback in the last 60 years. The Jags haven't developed a quarterback, and they're not even sure, but they gave this guy a boatload of money and Trevor Lawrence. And the Rams, that guy has killed every career, almost killed Goff's career. I say this to you about Nick Foles. Nick Foles has not been around quality enough coaches to develop him and to be able to make him into being the kind of quarterback he could have been. He went to shitholes in Indianapolis. Everywhere he went outside of Indy was a terrible place. My point with Foles is if he completes that pass against the New Orleans Saints and Alshon catches that, you're trading Wentz. Because you would have went to 2 NFC title games in a row with him. You're going to trade a guy who was a Super Bowl MVP 1 year and then took the team back to the NFC title game? You're going to move off that guy?
No, I see what you're saying. I do have a hard time thinking the Eagles would have won. It seems to be like this the story of Nick Foles' career. Like, he was good, but
up in shitty places other than Philly.
I know, but is that because he was good, but he wasn't good enough for a team to buy into him fully? I mean, fully buy into him, make him the starting quarterback, build the team around him. He was never that guy. For whatever reason, I like him, but he was never that guy. Maybe it was the inconsistency. Maybe it was they just didn't think he had the skill set. But I think that's part of the reason he ended up with so many shitty coaches, because he was kind of a pinball in the league. Nobody thought he was that type of guy where you could make your franchise quarterback and build around him. Right. Yale says streaky. He was streaky.
Would you bring him in now for Hurts?
I wouldn't, because I think it would do more harm than good.
Why harm?
Because I think the city would be.
Oh, they'd start
screaming. I'm saying they would want him in there. I just think it would kind of undermine Hurts in a way that he's the guy that lifted the trophy here. Like, fans would be. It's like if Jalen Hurts and Nick Foles walked up to you on the street. Like, I think fans might ask Foles for the picture first. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would undermine him in that kind of way, and it's not worth it. Like, what's the upside? He doesn't have what he had.
So that means you see a little bit what Wentz went through.
Oh, I definitely understand. From a human perspective, do you not understand what Wentz went through?
Oh, no, because if Jalen can't take it, why should Wentz?
Well, Wentz had a different scenario too. I mean, Wentz played like a Super Bowl, like a MVP. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was winning games with Travis Fulgham, and you see that. You don't get to see it through, and then another guy takes the baton and gets a lot of the credit. That's a tough thing. Like, imagine for a second, and this is coulda, woulda, shoulda, playing what ifs, but what if Jalen went down in 22? And just say Gardner Minshew, I think he was our backup at the time. Gardner Minshew took the team to the dance that year. Like, that would hurt. No, I mean, any human. I'm talking about me, you, anybody in the chat. If you have that type of success, and then somebody else takes it, that's a tough thing. Like, I can understand that. I don't have a problem with that. Now, I have a problem with how Wentz responded to it. I thought that there was a way to use that fuel and rise up and make you a better player, a better man, a better person, a better leader, a better follower of Christ. He's always talking about that, a better everything. And I thought he kind of shied away from that, and that's what I didn't like. But if you're talking about understanding what he went through and being able to empathize and see that, I think no doubt. It's almost hard not to see it.
I'm going to give you one moment that I think was the unraveling. I saw a video of the locker room after the Super Bowl, and there was Wentz sitting on the floor, and he was pouting.
Yeah.
And I was like this, there lies the difference between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, because when Tua won the national title, the first person that gave him high fives
was Jalen
Hurts.
Yes, it was. First person to put the hat on, first person to be there. I mean, he really was a true professional in his years in Alabama. He really was.
I wouldn't have been. Hey,
I wouldn't have been either.
I didn't like coming out of games. I threw my helmet.
Yeah.
When
No, I
fucking
get
Nick
it,
showed
man.
me.
I get
I'm not
it. By the
doing
way,
that.
yeah. So from that perspective, I do get it. I certainly get it with Nick, but with Carson too, I don't like the way Wentz responded. I didn't like the way Wentz responded, but we talked about it already. Nick was a guy that people loved him, but the right people never fully believed in him.
I thought it was his surfer type attitude where he was just one of these guys that looked like this. Hey, I'm a fucking guy played at the Arizona Wildcats basketball. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm a superstar quarterback. Oh, yeah, I bang all the really great looking chicks. Oh, yeah, life looked like it came too easy for him.
Yeah.
And he really didn't put a lot into it. And you're like, the guy just threw for 7 touchdowns. And he's like this. Fuck it.
I never looked at Nick Foles and saw surfer, but I like it, Sills. I see where you're going, and I like it.
He's just like, he was like this, man. Life came easy to him. And it just looked like everything was so easy where guys are slaving away. They're banging on shit. And he's like, fuck it. I just had 3 girls and I won a Super Bowl. How you doing?
It's true. Wait, I want to go to Bob Brown's comment. Another good one from our guy, Bob. He said, guys, Foles is like Hurts. If you run a system that fits him, he can excel. Philly did that for Foles, but is not doing it for Hurts. Bob, are you sure though? I mean, are you ruling out that they're going to, what's that?
You got to wait and see.
You got to wait and see, right? I mean, I think that's fair. I think you got to wait and see here on Kellen. I'm not sure, but I do see what you're saying there, Bob.
Yeah, no, I don't. No one could tell me Foles got screwed here. No.
Can't tell me. So he's saying that he thinks Foles was screwed. I mean, look, he's right.
I would have kept Foles.
No, you wouldn't have.
Yes, I would have.
No, you wouldn't. I'm calling bullshit on that right now.
Wait a minute. No, I would have kept him. You know why? I would have kept him because the team in the locker room wanted him. My teammates responded to him better.
Yeah, but you're a football guy, Dan.
You bet. Oh, no. Now, wait. You want to talk business with me or you want to talk what I think?
I think everything. See, when you're making a decision like that, both things matter. I don't think they're separate. I think they're context for the decision. You're a football guy and you would have valued that more. But when you take a guy like Howie, and I'm not even knocking Howie here, I'm just saying he drafts a guy 2nd overall. He's playing like an MVP caliber quarterback. He's throwing the ball all over the yard. He has an unbelievable arm, an arm we haven't seen in Philly for a long time. He plays at the pinnacle, looks like an MVP. The team that you're good, like you wouldn't have paid that. You wouldn't have chose Nick after that. You wouldn't have.
Nick won the MVP in the Super Bowl against Brady and Belichick.
I know, but that wasn't. He was the backup guy.
If that decision, let's just play a game here. If that decision was in New England and Belichick, after what he saw for 2 years with Foles, and that decision came, what do you think Bill would have done? You think he would have stuck with Wentz, or do you think he would have stuck with Foles? Because you know why? He just gave Bledsoe $118 million. And you know what he did? He told Bob Kraft, hey, I'm going with the 6th rounder who makes $500,000, and he's my fucking guy.
I think it goes back to what we just said, though. It goes back to what I said about they never viewed Foles in that light. Like, to make that decision, Bill Belichick had to look at Tom Brady and say, I see a career.
I believe in you.
I believe it. Not just now. I believe in the career you're going to have. Nick Foles was a moment, if that makes sense.
It does.
He was a moment.
He was.
Carson was the career quarterback, the franchise quarterback. Nick Foles had the moment. And I don't think they were ever going to buy in past that point. And that's unfortunate. I don't know if I would have made that decision. I'd like to think I probably, if I'm being completely honest with myself, I would have chose Carson too. I really would have. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying hindsight might be 2020. Maybe it was the better move to go with Foles.
I think it depends on the organization.
I don't think that he struck a chord that Carson did with them.
I think. Oh, who do you think Andy would have stuck with?
I think Andy would have stuck with Carson too. I think Andy would have liked the offensive potential of Carson Wentz. Remember, Carson had, before this shit show that's unraveled, that is Carson Wentz's career. Carson Wentz had some unbelievable physical traits.
He holds
unbelievable
all season records.
He wasn't just being talked about in Philly. He was being talked about all over the NFL. People were looking for their Carson Wentz.
I thought he was the next coming of Brett Favre. Just so you know, I thought he was the next
big
coming
guy,
of Favre.
unbelievable arm, mobile, could move, smart. I mean, he was the whole package in a way. And he was what the Eagles dreamed of getting and having. And they got him. And I didn't think they were about to give that up for Nick Foles. And I don't know if I can knock him for it, to be honest.
It's mind-blowing that Foles won the Super Bowl with the RPO that makes Hurts great and got us to the Super Bowl was the RPO. Yet we barely ran it last year. Hey, do you understand, Bald Eagle? That's why I'm not high on Hurts. You go back to this, I am. See, Zander thinks that they're going to go back and magically go back to this.
I think they're going to go back. I think they're going to create an offense that works for Jalen's skill set. They have no choice.
Guys, Zander, awesome stuff as always, man. Don't forget, guys, catch Birds 365 in the morning. Please hit the like button. Zander will be with us tomorrow. By the way, Gary Cobb's doing a football event today, so he's on tomorrow at 4:30. Fox 29's very own Gary Cobb. And he was over at the complex talking to Nick Sirianni, so he's got some insight on what some of the things are being said, especially over the last 10 days. So he's going to say that tomorrow as well. Zander, thank you very much. Appreciate it, my friend.
Big Sills, thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We got a lot of super chats when I was on here, so we appreciate them more than you know. They go a long way in helping the channel, and we appreciate you guys as well as all the comments. We appreciate you guys. I love you all. Sills, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
You bet, man. Keep it here, National Football Show. Hit the like button. Keep it here.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.